And today we are talking about the SSL Victim Fund. And our guest today is going to be Campbell, who is the trustee for Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. And we're talking a little bit around the issue with the SSL. Embattled Brokerage House Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, says a fund has been established to compensate victims of the alleged multi-million dollar fraud uncovered in January 2023. This was revealed in a letter dated April 3, 2025, directed to potential and contingent SSL claimants and creditors. And Trustee Campbell. Mr. Campbell, good evening.
Good evening, Professor Hope and Siobhan Campbell, is it?
Yes, Siobhan is
That's
with
correct.
us. Yes. Siobhan, I'll let you lead out, of
And
course.
good evening to your listeners as well.
Thank you so much, yes.
So, good afternoon again, Mr. Campbell. But the first question I suppose that everyone is on everyone's mind is how much has been set aside in this victims compensation fund?
Well, at this point in time, 500,000 United States dollars has been earmarked for the
So,
victims.
could
Hold
you
on.
say it again?
How much?
500,000 United States dollars,
Yes.
$500,000 US.
So, 500,000 US dollars?
Yes.
And exactly how will this be? I suppose divvied up. Is this going to be a claim-based system, or is there a set limit to how much each victim is allowed to access?
All right. So, firstly, victims of the alleged fraud would be required to submit their proofs of claim. We have received some POCs already, and others are being encouraged to submit their claim, in particular before the 30th of April deadline, so that we can, complete that processing exercise. The claim will be paid on a prorated basis based on the amount that is actually admitted. The persons will submit their claim. We will go through a vetting process and assess the claims. We will look at the available information and evidence. And ultimately, as trustee, I have to determine what amount will be admitted as being ranked for our distribution. So the total of what is ranked for distribution, the 500,000 would be prorated among those claimants.
So, Mr. Campbell, the time stipulated for submission of the POCs up to the 30th of April. Beyond that, how far, beyond that will claimants wait to receive their compensation?
Well, persons have been encouraged to submit their claims. I mean, this exercise has been ongoing from my resumption at the end of May 2024. So we have been receiving claims from that time. It is not anticipated that the claims processing exercise can go beyond this calendar year. FSL will not have the resources to continue that process, and we will be looking to, in the second half of this year, to start to wind down claims processing. So we are encouraging those persons who have not yet submitted their claims, please do so immediately, and certainly if in particular, if you are or you think you are a victim of the alleged fraud, we need those claims in by the end of April.
But Mr. Campbell, the volume, the 500,000 US dollars, $500,000, we have heard of losses way surpassing that. So you suggest that it's going to be a pro rata kind of basis. Is there a kind of percentage figure that claimants are expected to receive based on the figure that you have quoted as being in the kitty and available for remuneration?
No, well, we know what is available at this point in time, and other funds may become available. What we have not determined as yet is the admitted claims that would rank for a distribution. So that is the exercise we are going to be embarking in earnest. We have started with the claims that we have received thus far, but we know that there are potentially other claims out there that we have not received as yet. And in light of the fact that there's a distribution pending, we want to get the claims, as many claims in as possible, because once the distribution has been made, if your claim comes in after that point, you will not have any claim or benefit from that pool that would have been distributed prior.
But Mr. Campbell, certainly, as you said, it's a pro rata rate. But I mean, in many cases, this will not make at least some of the more famous victims, I would want to say, whole, even at that amount.
No, definitely. It is not anticipated that there'll be a situation where the victims would be made whole, certainly from what we have in the SSL estate and the Victims Compensation Fund.
And what then is the ceiling, the limit in terms of compensation that can be given out to an individual victim if you've worked out that quantum?
No, that will not be determined until the claims are admitted and we have determined that we're going to be making the distribution. So we'll know the total admitted at that point. We do not know that figure at this point in time.
So this $500,000 US is a first tranche, and there are expected tranches that should come after this has been distributed.
Well, we have been able to, based on the mechanism that we use to recover those funds, we have been able to earmark that 500,000 US. I cannot say at this point in time how much more may be recovered for the Victim Compensation Fund, but we are working to for additional funds to go into that pool. But we know of that amount being available at this point in time.
And I'll keep this in relation to the fund specifically. If a victim of the alleged fraud makes a claim on this fund, is that essentially the end of the company's liability to them? They cannot seek any further restitution?
No. The victims have other recourse. They may not have recourse against the SSL estate if there are no funds available, as in there's no funds to distribute. But there may be other recourse that victims have.
As in, let's say they access this fund, would they by chance at a later date be able to take further legal actions against SSL and its principals? Or does this fund, or making a claim on this fund, indemnify SSL against further legal action?
No. All right. Within insolvency matters, there's an automatic stay of proceeding. So once you're able to prove your claim in the bankruptcy, that is the mechanism for you to make your claim. So once you have proved your claim in the bankruptcy, based on the available funds, you rank to receive a distribution, and the trustee would make that distribution. So if there are no additional funds available, it is pointless to pursue legal action against a company when there would be no additional funds available. So all the funds that would be available for the victims through the SSL estate would be distributed to them.
So, Mr. Campbell, is this on a first come, first served basis, in that persons who have claims to file should ensure that they file these claims early so that they are at least in line to get some percentage of their resources back before the $500,000 US is exhausted?
It's not quite a first come, first served basis, as I indicated. The payment is on a prorated, or what we call a pari passu basis. But all the persons who, let's use the 30th of April deadline, all the persons whose claims are in by that deadline, those claims will be assessed to determine what amount, if any, would be admitted. Not because someone submits a claim, it doesn't mean that it will automatically be accepted by the trustee. We have to vet them and determine what is admissible for a distribution. So in early May, we anticipate that we will have a figure that say, okay, this is the total amount of claims being admitted from, let's just use a figure, from 30 claimants. We would then make a prorated payment to those 30 claimants. The 31st claimant who comes in after the funds have been distributed would have to await further funds in the fund, and at that point, those 31, say there are no other claimants, those 31 claimants would get the prorated portion of the additional amounts that come in subsequent to this 500,000 being distributed.